started. So if you're here, we're going to talk about articulation. If not, there's the door, and I will fill in. I appreciate everybody staying out of the Friday afternoon after lunch.
Recording started.
I hope that when we're through that you'll enjoy articulation just as much as I do. And as we're going through here, because it's a small group, feel free to, I hate it when someone just gets up and talks. So if you have questions, whatever, hey, I'm here to try and help, and I'm one of you. I should tell you a little bit about my background. I have been teaching at Coastline Community College for 15 years, and I teach computer networking. So it's like, oh, this is wonderful. I get to go and talk with my own buzz, about something that I really enjoy. So this is exciting. I taught ROP for 10 years, and I also taught at the high school level for 2 years. So I've kind of been in both segments and have gone back and forth. And I've been on both sides of the articulation, I was going to say controversy, but, articulation from both sides. So it's kind of interesting to be able to see it now from the community college side. So we're going to be talking about articulation. And as we do, I want to make sure that we're focusing on what the students want. And we know with the economy that we're having a lot of students start coming back to us. Those that are in high school that might have gone off into the job market are waiting because it's not a good place to go right now. So they're going into the colleges, whether it's community colleges or 4 years. We have people who are in the community college who are deciding that, this is a better place to stay. Some of them are getting supplemented by work students comp or all those different programs where they can get paid. So they're in our program. And then we have a lot of people who are returning for updating of their job skills so that they can either get a job, they can maintain their jobs, or they can look for new jobs that are out there. So we have a lot of students that are coming back, and what they want is to have some kind of education that is nice and quick and fast, and they want to be able to have the job skills that they need. They're not the type of student that's coming back into like the English or the math areas where it's like, oh, okay, I know I need to take all these classes, and they don't have to be relevant to what I'm doing, and I can, that's not the kind of students we have. We have the ones that want to know, how am I learning this? How come this is important? How am I going to relate this to what we're doing out there? So they're interested in getting those job skills and get ready to go out into the workforce. They also want to have a nice, fast, quick type of education. So they don't want to waste their time retaking courses that they've already taken or retaking skills. I don't know how you are. I always have students who think that just because we duplicate some of the skills between the classes, they don't get the idea that we're trying to reinforce what they're learning and try and build from it. They think, oh, I took this already. So, I know everything there is about it, even though they really don't. So anyway, they're trying to get through it very quickly. They don't want to waste time. They want to make sure that there's no duplication of the courses that they're taking, because that's a waste of their time, a waste of their money, and cost is a very important thing to them. It's important to us too. Not only are textbooks expensive, but the tuition is. How many of you are not from California? Where are you from?
Purdue, Indiana.
Oh, Purdue. Okay, well, community college education is really cheap.
We have the Indiana Vocational Technical Community College System in Indiana, 126,000 plus students.
So what's the credit per credit unit? What does it cost them?
Cheap, very cheap.
Like?
Probably something similar to what California has before the increase.
Oh, okay.
Because our governor several years ago made a commitment that the 2-year community college in Indiana would be Ivy Tech. So that's what it is. It's a mandate.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so we wound up working with one of our CTEC grants, an articulation agreement. Deborah Boyer talked about that in one of her presentations. So we do have a very good methodology of transferring between 2-year and 4-year schools.
Well, hopefully I'll even get you some good ideas that you can incorporate into it, because we have a lot of things that we've been doing. But something that, getting back to where I was, the low cost is not going to be as low cost, because we all know that in the summer that it starts picking up at $46 a unit, which is nothing compared to the rest of the country, but for our students who, by constitutional standards, are supposed to have free higher education, that's a big deal for them. So, you know, again, they're going to want to go right through. They don't want to have any of these things that are going to slow them down. They want to have seamless transitions between what they've already learned and what they're going to learn. And so articulation really is a wonderful part of that because it delivers their needs and their wants in a very fluid method. It brings the right people to the table. So what happens when you develop an articulation agreement? And an articulation agreement, we'll talk about what that is in a few minutes. But the beauty of articulation is when you're developing an agreement, you bring faculty with faculty to talk about what the most important thing in life is. So what are well, there are actually two things, but when you get faculty together, what are the things that we talk about? What have we all been talking about in the hallway?
Curriculum, strategy.
Our programs, our babies, the things that we do and love, right? So when you get faculty from different segments together, guess what? The default conversation is what we're doing in the classroom, and yes, our program is so wonderful, and this is the kinds of things that we're trying to do, and oh yes, our students, you know, we have the best, it doesn't matter, everybody has the best students in the entire world. So those are the conversations that faculty have. So we find that when you have articulation development going on, you get the best part of the articulations when you get the faculty together talking to each other. And when they're talking to each other, they foster the communication and they start trusting and understanding what the others are doing. One of the biggest problems that we're having with articulation is that, and remember I've been teaching at Cookland for 15 years. The community college folks, we have extremely big egos, okay? And the high schools and ROPs could not possibly ever teach the rigor and the content that I teach. Do you ever hear that from other people? All the time. And you know what? That's not true. And by sitting down and talking and finding out what other people are doing in their program, you can develop that communication, you can develop that trust and understanding of what's going on, so that what happens is that you're getting a true sequencing of courses between the secondary level and the community college level. It really is amazing to see that happen because, you know, before, people would not believe that. Here's the illustration that I did. I taught ROP for 10 years, and so when the articulation things first started about 25 years ago, and so we sat down, and I was teaching Novell. And my community college, and I was at a CNI, I'm not anymore, but I was at CNI, I had a really great program, but my community college, who taught kind of a rogue networking Novell stuff, who they had never gone any classes, they didn't teach any certification courses, and they weren't certified either. They were thinking that my course, because I taught it at ROP, could not be as rigorous as they were. Until I started noticing other community college faculty were coming and taking my class. So you see that just because it's being taught in one of the other segments, it doesn't mean that it's any less rigorous or whatever. If we're teaching what the industry is asking us to teach, we're probably in some cases using the same textbook, using the same methodology, using the same things. And it's not until you get people sitting down, talking together, understanding what they're doing, and opening up about their programs that we find out those different keys. So it's really exciting, and this is probably the part about the articulation process that I love the most. It's being able to adjust our curriculum and to find out what other people are doing, not because we have to or because we were told to do this, because we know it's the best thing for the students. And we know that if we can align our curriculum and offer them that seamless transition without any duplication, it's what they need, it's what they want, and we can provide it for them. So that's really what articulation does. Now, there are three different types of articulation. The first is advanced placement, and I need to come up with a different name, but we've always been going around talking about that. But it's not the AP test that students take. But let's say, for example, you have, I have our networking degree that we have. And so one of the not prerequisites, but one of the core courses in that is that they have to take A+ hardware and A+ software. And most of my high schools and ROPs in the area teach either one or both of those classes. And so for advanced placement, if I decide not to give them credit, I might say, oh, okay, you've already taken the A+ software course. Why don't I not require you to take the software course, but you'll have to take the hardware course, and you'll have to take another class, later that would kind of help you to expound on something that you already have. But I'm not going to make them take that A+ class. So what that is, the advanced placement is it's allowing them to be able to substitute one of the courses that are required for my core, for my degree, with something that they took at the high school or the ROP. They're not getting credit for taking that on their transcript, but they're getting credit for placement within the courses that they need for my degree. I don't do that, but it's possible, yes.
Is advanced placement the term that the K-12 use for that? Or what is the official K-12 term for those type of classes? Oftentimes language, when you're trying to deal with
it is. Advanced placement is not what they're going to refer to as the AP testing stuff. So, like for...
I know, and so what is the term for...
Cheryl, have you heard, there's not...
No, there's not. Statewide for the high school, and no, there's not a term for it. We would say that they get an introductory course, right on to the next level, but there's no term.
Yeah, we're working with a bunch of them right now, and the different schools, the terminology...
Right.
And that was we spent our first year on this project trying to figure out what people were talking about. Because teachers are teachers in the K-12, but they're faculty members. So, it's like a spigot and a faucet type of discussion. It's the same things are happening, but we use different words to talk about it. But I don't know another word other than advanced placement. We need to come up with something.
Prerequisite?
But it's not a prerequisite. It's part of the core of the degree that you're getting them credit for. So the second one is substitutions of a prerequisite, and that's where, obviously, to take one of the courses within my core, you would need to have a prerequisite or an advisory or something. And in that case, what I can say is, oh, you took this class at the high school or ROP, I'm going to waive that prerequisite for the course that's being offered in my segment. Now, I have to admit, if you decide to go that route, your student records we use there, it goes nuts if you're trying to bypass the prerequisite. So it could be a problem. And so we don't do that, but it is something that you could do if you decide to do that. The one that is the most popular and the one that's really the best for the students and good for us is the credit by exam option. And what that does is it allows the student in a high school ROP to take a class, and that class then is looked, because we have this relationship with the community college faculty, and the faculty either look at the final exam or look at the skills that you're using and testing for in the class and teaching to. They decide, the community college faculty decide that it is a comparable class. Now, again, that doesn't feel a little chauvinist, not chauvinistic. It gets to be a little ego-based because the community college faculty is the one that is actually making that determination. But if you think about it, the community college is the one that's granting credit, transcripted, real community college credit for that class. And so that's why the final say, according to our ed code, is that the community college faculty have to, is their purview to determine whether it's the same course or not. But remember on the last slide where we're talking about that communications and the trust. Well, if you really are doing articulation right and you're developing that, you're going to understand what's happening in that other classroom that has to ROP. And you probably have even been on their campus to talk with their students and to try and encourage them into your program. So, if that's developed, you know what's happening. There aren't going to be any surprises. But that is kind of one of the stumbling blocks that we still are kind of dealing with. We were talking about the infighting between things, but we're working on it, and we're seeing a lot of people coming along with that. But credit by exam is the one that's most often used. What is your name?
Randy Watson.
Randy.
Okay, The issue we had in legislative different credits, right now there's a fight about giving them the credit for the course as far as the degree, giving the units, since the state didn't get the units money for it. I mean, how do they? Who gets the money?
Well,
because in credit by exam, by the community college stipulations, is they're supposed to pay for the course.
it depends. That is a local
It's a
decision.
local decision.
And something that you can work on, and you need to work with your own board to come up with your own requirements. Some districts have their policy that say, hey, if this is a class that is being articulated through an agreement that we have with our local K-12, then we're not even going to charge them a test option or put it like that. My district charges $35 and allows them then to have it transcribed. In those cases, I say it's like 50-50. Some charge and some don't. It just is a local policy. It's not set down by the chancellor's office. So if you don't like it, you can ask them to change it, because right now they're doing whatever they can do. Exactly. Okay, so credit by exam, why this is so valuable for the students, it literally gives them actual community college credit. I mean, they have a transcript that's created. It's not a weird transcript. It's not something that says, oh, this is a high school student, and we're going to give them a pretend transcript. No, it's a college transcript. And that's why, I get off into the dual enrollment thing, but, it's so important that with articulation that we know that they're successful before we actually complete that articulation for them. Because you don't want them to get an F or a D on their community college transcript, because they'll never go to college then, because they'll think it's too overwhelming. So anyway, so it's literal transcripted credit. And that credit can then transfer with them when they go to CSUs or UCs, or if they go to even other community colleges. Wherever a transcript or college transcript goes, this is on their transcript, and it will follow them wherever they go. And the academic senate has come several years ago, we passed the best practice recommendation for the local district. But it doesn't say credit by exam on their transcript, because, if a community college faculty member has determined that it's the same order, it is the same content, and it's the same skills, who are we to say that it's not the same class, whether they sat physically in front of me or they sat with a peer of mine in the K-12 segment? Who cares? They earned that. They learned those skills and are ready for a job in that area. So, it's transferable wherever they go. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about why articulation doesn't work. Because like I said, about 25 years ago, the test prep came out, and, maybe it's getting closer to 30 years, but articulation was a big thing. And I was teaching ROT at the time, and so they brought us all together, and they said, you will have so many articulation agreements by the time you leave this room. We had a day off, we met with our community college faculty, and it's like, oh, great, we're finally going to get recognition. Remember, I was teaching ROP. We're finally going to get recognition for all the hard work that we're doing. And my local community college was like, they were so mad about being told that they had to do this, that, it's like, what a waste of time. Other than we got a nice lunch, that was it.
What is ROP?
ROP is, in California, it's a way of funding separately, although they've made it flexible because of the budget. But it's a way of being able to fund the CTE courses that take more money, right? At high school, then be 16 years of age. Right. But it's unique to California. And so it's just, it can be offered on the high schools, and most likely it is now, or it could be offered in a center, but it's for some who's 16 years of age and older. Many times it includes a component where we have on-the-job training. So that's ROP. Okay, so there are a lot of misconceptions about credit by exam. We know that in our education code, Title V is the section that deals with community colleges. And in that area, they talk about credit by exam because it's all of the community college education. And there are two sections I think it's 55050 and 55051, and one deals with credit by exam for the person off the street that comes in to challenge a course. You know that. Remember when we were in high school? You know, there were always people that did that. Or we had people, I've only had like 2 people in the 15 years I've been at Coastline who have come to challenge a class. But, you know, they can do it. They feel like they have those skill sets and they want to take the final and get the credit. That's covered under one section. Then there's another section, and people don't, they kind of merge them together. But there are 2 sections. One deals with giving credit through an agreement with the local K through 12 for coursework that they take with the K through 12, and then to get credit at the community college. And so there are differences, people merge those together, but there are different ways of handling it. So for example, with the charges, some colleges do the general public credit by exam and charge them everything, or might even charge them the full cost of the course. But then for those that are getting articulated credit by exam from the high schools, they don't charge them anything. They might charge them just a small amount. It's a local decision, but it's something that they do. But the problem is when they think articulation, most of our admissions and records people think that it's all one thing. They don't think that it's 2 separate things. And so that causes some problems there. There's a lot of miscommunication between the different segments, not only K through 12 and community college, but also between the different segments within the college. They talk about all these silos, and it's kind of like a transparency word. I'm kind of tired of the word silos, but it's something that happens all the time. I didn't know until this project, we got a group of our A&R directors together to try and figure out why we were having so many problems getting things transcribed. And it's admissions and records people. There's a one to safeguard. They are such a unique group of people. If you haven't met them, you need to. They really are different because they can quote every little section of Title V to you because they are the keeper of the transcript. And I kind of understand it now because if anyone was going to go to jail for all the creative things that I was doing, they're the ones that are going to jail, not me.
I would call it an accountant for student records. Yeah.
Exactly. They definitely are. So anyway, there's problems even within the college sometimes of trying to get that the transcripted credit taken care of and how you're going to handle it. And because we have 72 individual districts and they're all totally different, it's handled differently in every single district. So communications between the segments and between the different areas within the college. There's also that faculty resistance. Those darn community college faculty, and remember, I'm one, so I can say that. We are resistant, especially because of budget right now. It's like, what are we going to do? We're going to be cutting all these classes. You know, how can I be granting credit to high school students if, I need to be serving my main population? I say this all the time on my campus. It's like, let's stay focused here. Let's see. We can't offer as many sections as we normally have. So instead of offering 3 sections of A+ class, I'm still going to have people coming in from the outside, who have never taken it and need to take it, but maybe I can offer 2 sections of A+, and have enough students that are articulating through to make up that number. Because what happens is, I can't offer things higher up on the pyramid if I don't have my foundation in there. And so, if we can get that through their mind, that articulation is valuable because they're finally going to be able to offer those classes that they love teaching, but never have enough students to offer it. So articulation can help there, but they're hung up on the budget. Another problem is the rigor, and I kind of already talked about that, about how my program is so much better than the community college. I got a call not long ago, I get them all the time, about so-and-so community college is not going to allow articulation because they think that unless a instructor at the high school or ROP has a master's degree in such and such, that it's not going to count. It's like, are we nuts or something? You know, the high schools have to have more certification than we do. You know, other than business, most of the CTE things, you don't even need a 4-year degree. You didn't hear this, okay? You didn't hear that from me. But you don't even have to have a 4-year degree. You're supposed to have 2 years, 6 years in history. You know, here we get these big egos, and we want to have K through 12 have more requirements than we even require of our own faculty members. So we have to kind of get over that. And we're working on it. And so, you know, I've called many districts and many faculty members and tried to be very nice and let them know, let's talk with them and, try and find out where they're coming from. But that's a real problem, especially when you're caught up with the budget thinking, I'm not going to be able to get my classes, I'm trying to give things away to other people. So, the more the communication, sitting down and understanding what's happening between the segments, the better this will work. Also, student awareness. I can't tell you how many students in a high school are in a class that's articulated and have no clue that they can get community college credit for that. And so we need to go out and educate them. I have a junior in high school now. I'm just now starting to look for colleges like her. And she had no idea what articulation was. It's like, how can you, of all people, not know what articulation is? My computer room has articulation stuff, all over the place, but she had no clue. Yeah, it doesn't. And I spend my time on the side of the soccer field talking to people about articulation, So, I'm educating parents. We're trying to educate the students, and that's something that's really a problem and why it hasn't worked the way it has. So, along comes this project, Statewide Career Pathways. We're in our 6th year now, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to create articulation agreements and templates, and I'll talk about the templates. That might be something a little different from what you guys do. We're trying to educate the students, the parents, and the faculty on what articulation is. We signed some articulation agreements, and in my campus, you don't have to take it through the curriculum committee. But I was taking it as an information item because I was academic senate president at the time, and I thought, everybody should know about this. And my articulation officer had all these concerns. Articulation? That's something new. We can't do that. It's like, where have you been for the last 25 years? So, it's just, we have to educate the faculty on that too. We've created a database, and yes, I know, every project out there creates a database, but what we've done is that database only supports the articulation agreements that were developed off of our templates, and it also keeps our templates out there.
Is it statewide?
It is. It's a statewide pathways.org. The Academic Senate for California Community Colleges. So if our funding goes away, and I hope it doesn't, the Academic Senate, because it's set up, they can maintain it and keep it going. So it's not going to go away if the project goes away. But that database is really important because, skipping down to the last one, transportability. California is huge. People are very mobile. If, for example, someone took a course down in Orange County where I'm from, and it's an A+ class, and the reason I use that is because of the industry standards and the competency testing. It's something that everybody takes, there's not much variance. You have to teach toward what the industry is asking for. So if someone takes an A+ class from me, and then they come up here, and they want to get articulated credit, they might not have an articulation agreement with Foothill High School down in Orange County, but that person up here at City College of San Francisco might go up to our database and take a look, and they can usually see an outline, and they can see the agreement, and they can see what actually has been agreed upon, and the skills that were taught and measured, and how they went about measuring those. And then they might, based off of that, give articulated credit for that. So, that's the idea of having a transportability. Now, does it work seamlessly? No. Does it have that personality thing in there? Yes. Because you have to have people being able to feel comfortable with what other people are doing. They can pick up the phone and they can talk to those other faculty members about it. We need to make sure that that communication is going, and that's one of the reasons why we're coming around talking to people. And also, we are creating CTE awareness throughout the state, not just for articulation, but for CTE in general. Has anybody heard or seen any of the whodouywanttobe.com? You're supposed to because you're from the chancellor's office.
Flyers, I think you have a bunch of flyers on what's going to pass out.
I was going to bring my few things, but I have heard, now that my daughter is driving, when I go with her, we have a thing in our house that if you're driving, you control the radio. So we have radio ads, and we spent like $700,000 this last year on radio ads to try and educate students on articulation and I mean, I'm Chinese, but I don't listen to kids stuff. So, but it's in the metropolitan areas throughout the state. I can't remember the exact thing, but it's amazing. There's a website that has all kinds of resources and stuff that people can use. It's all free because it's been paid for, obviously, through the SC 70 grant. Use the information. There's all kinds of neat stuff out there if you need it.
It's pretty good for students.
Go ahead.
Organized by the Career Development Statewide Collaborative, by the people who really part of this also. And it's a real good tool for high school counselors. It's a good tool for any high school kid, even freshmen in college. They can go there, they can explore their careers, costs, expenses, incomes,
We have a template for them to plan out their high school career and stuff like that.
They also have some for kids, and our district, we give them to all of our counselors.
And we did send out to every high school and ROT in the state, but everything that's in, unless you want that little plastic kit, they cost $20 a piece. But if you want everything except the plastic thing, you can download everything in black and white and you can print it, it's free, it's yours, we want it used, okay?
What's the any feedback on how much you are getting?
All the time. In fact, they heard me say that my daughter's high school and said, because I guess it's free. I got one, and I brought it in, and she had gotten one right before I walked in, and they were plastered all over her career center. So it was really, they're using them. The first year or two, they were doorstops because people didn't know, but once people started going to conferences and hearing about it, they knew that it was something valuable. So, and there's also lesson plans in there. So, when the swine flu was a couple of years ago, it's like, oh, this is perfect. Someone's out, you can pull this out, you've got a substitute can have a worthy class lesson from it. So that's what our idea was. So anyway, there's all kinds of things that are up there. You can go to it directly, whodouywanttobe.com. It has, the green bus. Road Trip Nation, right. And so they have some great clips from different people, real famous people, and talk about, high school and community college and how valuable it was and all that kind of stuff. So it's really exciting. I need to scoot on. Anyway, it's very successful right now. We have had 55 groups come together to develop these templates. And let me explain what the templates are real quick. The templates, we all know that we beg, borrow, and steal things from each other, right? And if we have to create it from scratch, it's not easy. So the templates, we designed the template for articulation agreements that have all of the components that you would need to do your own articulation agreement. We bring groups together from high school and community college faculty from the north and from the south, and we have articulation officers and counselors and a whole lot of people that come together to talk about it, and we figure out what are the most common elements in any articulation agreement. And so we put those up there on our website so that when you go to develop your local articulation agreement, you can cut and paste from that. And this should be the core of what you're doing. You can always add to it. You're not supposed to take away. But that is the core. Yes?
Are you still doing nothing work groups?
We are when we're asked to. I think at that workshop at CCC AOE in the fall, someone asked about that. And so when you turn that in, we're going to try and have something, I think, in March to try and do that. So if any of the projects or if you have courses, we've done 118 different articulation agreements. But if there's something specific that you would like to have, there was, looking at an accounting one also somebody mentioned too. So there are a couple that people have asked. We're going to put together a group and develop those, but you know, it's hard to determine what really needs to be done unless we have people that are asking for it. So as we're developing all these different pathways with all these academies with the high schools, there's becoming more needs for different types of articulation agreements. Let us know. We'll bring some people together and we'll put this together. So, templates. So we have 55 of those that covers all 15 standards. There are 118 approved. We have 1,600 agreements up on the website so you can kind of see what other people are doing. We're working on trying to work through the problems that people have in transcripting credits and why they're not doing articulation. We're working, the Who Do You Want to Be? We have lots of money that we're spending in there. And we're also now tied into the CTE transfer degrees. How many of you are aware of the 1440 regulations? If you're not, everybody should, okay, because that's what's happening on all the community college campuses right now. It started last spring, but everybody's developing them. So we're working with that project. Actually, our project and the way it was structured was mirrored off of what CID project was. So anyway, articulation templates, I talked to you about why we do them. It's real easy to copy it. But that way we make sure that we have some kinds of standards and that it's replicable from articulation agreement to articulation agreement, which is easy in CTE and especially in networking because the CompTIA certification is the CompTIA certification. Doesn't matter where you go. So you can add to it, but you can't take away from it. They're easy to use because you can copy it, allows for the transportability, and then you just put it into your own local agreement. So it works out really well. So you can see those up on our website, and this is the Statewide Pathways.org site. And you can see here our articulation templates, and they're broken down by the industry segment and then by the different disciplines within that. So we have all kinds of office products. We have for our area, we have A+, we have Network+, we have all the Cisco courses. I think we might have Server+, but I don't remember. It's been a while since we've done all those. And then we have the CIS courses, like the Computer Information Systems courses that we do in the CID. We have the word processing and different things like that. So all of those are located under the different 15 areas and then broken down by subject. Then the agreements, you can go in and you can look at them either by subjects or you can look at them by the individual high schools or the colleges and you can search them that way. So it's really nice to be able to get to them from this website. And this one just shows you how you can break it down by what it looks like. Go up there, take a look, and see what's there. You can see what other people are doing. It's a really valuable tool. Let's talk a little bit about the 1440. I've got 10 minutes. This is really important. The 1440 was some legislation that was passed a year ago in September. And what it basically is it's a way of streamlining education between the community college and the high school. Didn't I say that's something that students wanted and needed at the very first slide, is a streamlined course of study? And so the legislature said that we were going too slow on that, so they decided that we needed to come up and do it. But it was nice. First, the academic senate hated it, but when they gave the control to the community college, it kind of eased up on it. But in essence, what it does is it allows the community colleges to have a 60-unit major, a transfer degree with an 18 or more unit major, usually 18 to 20. And they have, that's all they can add. They can't have all the little extra logo, wonderful things that they can add to it. What's also nice is that, you can have a GPA of 2.0. What the community colleges or the CSUs have to do because this is law, right? It's not just some initiative someone came up with that's good for students. It's the law. The CSUs have to guarantee admission to the system, not necessarily to your local campus, but to the system as junior status. So if they go through, if your college has a degree that is modeled after these templates for the transfer model curriculum for these different areas, then they are guaranteed into the CSU system as juniors. Not that they are prepared for, and not that they, well, they still have to apply, but not that they will, have to get in line with everybody else who has taken all the, prerequisites for transfer and all that kind of stuff. They are guaranteed in. Once they've completed your transfer degree, they're guaranteed into the system. And, let's see, and again, it's not necessarily to their local. I happen to be in Orange County, and we have Cal State Long Beach and Cal State Fullerton. And so because they have so many people who are transferring into their programs, they don't need anything like this. And so, of course, they're taking exception to it. But, if you're not in an impacted area like Orange County, then, this is really wonderful, okay? There are some good and bad about it. But the nice thing is they are guaranteed into the system someplace. Now, I keep talking about Stanislaus, that, you could go someplace like Stanislaus. I was thinking Stanislaus was Humboldt State, so I got them mixed up because I think Humboldt State's in a really pretty area. But, so it's somewhere in the system, but they're guaranteed into it, okay? That's really what's wonderful. And that's something this legislation is good for the students. Now, what's also nice is we have 60 units, but the four-year universities can only add 60 units also. They can't say, those community college people, they did a nice job, and we'll let them come in, but they can come in as, things only, or something like that. They can't, because the CSUs have 60 units to add on to what we've done and to graduate these people. So we're talking 120 units to get out with a four-year degree. That's really important, not only for our students to transfer, but articulated students. Guess what? Since we can't necessarily offer, we're limited to 18 to 20 units, right, in our majors, but we still need to have that preparation. Wouldn't it be great for them to articulate and they can get some credit? It works out, so we're going to get what we've been trying to do, the 2 plus 2 plus 2, and out in, they probably still won't get out in 4 years, but, it's 120 units, so it is feasible that they could do that. So this is really exciting. So the legislation has been really fast because by fall of this year, by August, every community college in the state, and we didn't all make it, but every community college in the state was supposed to have at least two of these transfer degrees on the books through the curriculum process, accepted at the chancellor's office, and in place. And now we're building more of them. And I think almost all of I think there's a couple of hangouts that we're having curricular issues that, overall, it's happening within the state. So, this is how it's been working. Okay, we all have been trying to put together all of these transfer degrees. And because of the Statewide Career Pathways project, bringing faculty together in the different areas, we are bringing people together in the CTE areas using the same types of things that we do for the template development to develop these transfer degrees. And the ones that we've come up with, we have computer science, and because this is more networking, I didn't bring the computer science. And I forgot your first name? Randy. Randy's on that FERG, so he's worked with us. That's kind of like the steering committee of the CID for the computer science area. So he's working with us. We just made some changes to it. It's up for vetting right now, but I think the CSUs are really going to like it. I've gotten buy-in from about 14 or 16, and they're all happy with it. So that's for the computer science and programming area. But for the CIS area, which is what networking in most campuses falls into, we have three. First is the business emphasis, and that's kind of, I hate to say it, but in almost all the CSUs in the state, their computer networking or most of the CTE types of things we prepare students for working and they don't. That's the bottom line. Okay? So we've been having problems with that. So most of the CIS degrees at the four-year institutions are really business degrees. And they have a couple of CIS courses in them. It's kind of like where we are. You know, in some campuses we're in a computer science area, and sometimes we're, you know, in an area by ourselves, and some campuses we're, you know, in business. It all depends on who claimed it to begin with, okay? And so the CSUs are having problems with that too. But most of the CSUs have put the IT areas under their business, and so that degree looks very similar to their business transfer degree. So we developed that, and it's out for vetting now, I think, or will be out for vetting. And what that one does is it has, you know, the accounting and stuff. I'll show it to you in a minute. But then once we developed that, because there wasn't many options for us to do that, we thought, oh, let's come up with our own. So we came up with a CIS security, and a routing one. And that was the Cisco routing, because Richard from Ohlone College that everybody keeps talking about, he has several agreements with Channel Islands and Monterey, CSU Monterey Bay, and he's working on another one up here. So we thought, okay, there's some people that are coming into this, and I've since found that Cal State Dominguez Hills and Cal State San Bernardino are also accepting this. So
Channel Islands too.
Channel Islands is always a given one because they're so easy. So let me go ahead and show these to you. But it's okay. Dominguez Hills is the same way. This is the one for the programming, and you can see it's, you know, blah, 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 blah. But the differences that we did were the calculus and the physics, so I lied. I didn't think I had this slide up here. And you can see this. I want to go on to the other ones. Here's the business one. The blue one is the introduction to programming, introduction to database management systems, and the CIS. This is it's kind of the introduction to computers, but it does through intermediate, Excel and intermediate access. It doesn't do Word and it doesn't do PowerPoint. So those are the three that are in there. And this is what ties in very closely to most of the business programs that are out there. Here's the security, and this is where we started having fun. We have the intro to programming. You need 18 units. You need intro to programming, intro to networking, intro to security. So intro to networking, that's Network Plus. Intro to security, that's Security Plus. Cyber security, that's not one of the computer courses, but we have a descriptor for that one. Then you either take Cisco Security, Richard wanted that, CISSP, which is another industry certification that a lot of the contractors in the military need, or Intro to Forensics. So it kind of gives you some of the security aspects. And then on top of that, you need Intro to Hardware, which is A+ hardware, Intro to Software, which is A+ software, or Introduction to Linux, which is Linux Plus, or you can have Introduction to Desktop Operating Systems, or virtualization. We teach virtualization on our campus. Here's your Introduction to Database Management Systems, which is in the other degree, or SQL, so I can offer my Microsoft SQL courses, or Introduction to Scripting. And someone today was talking about how scripting was important. If you hang on, just let me get through this last one real quick. Here's the one for routing, and this is the Cisco one, very plain and simple. Intro to networking, that's your Network Plus. Okay, then you have the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Networking, that's not Network Plus, that's Cisco 1. So Cisco 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the Intro to Hardware, Intro to Software, that's the I+, or they call it Networking Essentials 1 and 2. So that's what the Cisco degree is. So these are the templates that we're going to put out there. There are some campuses, and it sounds like probably we have like 7 or so right now out of the 26. So hopefully we'll be able to get more. But now we have some place for our Cisco people to go. So remember the students and everything that we're doing, and this is how you can contact us if you need to have any of those things. So thanks. If you have questions, my personal email is njones@coastline.edu. and call me or email me, and I'd love to talk because I love this. I love the articulation. I really appreciate the TMCs that we're developing. I'm the faculty coordinator for the CS and the CIS areas. So anyway, thank you very much, and I hope this sheds some light on things that we're doing. See, California really is doing stuff. That's what I'm saying. Okay.